There, you're fine.
Anywhere you want.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, it's 5:02, and we're gonna start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting. It's Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. We'll open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just for the record, Dale Gray is not in attendance tonight. So Jody and I and the town manager, Bridie Armstrong, are here, and we do have one guest. Nick, what's your last name?
Wait.
Nick Waite is helping us with the new town office project. So moving along to item 2, approval of the minutes, September 30, 2020, select board meeting.
Make a motion to approve A.
I second. Those in favor, the two of us vote yes. Items 3, a review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 80, 81, 82, accounts payable 79 and 83.
Make a motion to approve A and B as read.
By second, we both vote to approve. Open session, but we don't really have anybody here to speak. Old business proposal for layout for town office. Well, we had a lengthy workshop.
Listen to most of it.
I
Wow.
can understand why it might take, we
Yeah.
were a while.
It was what, 3 hours?
2.5, 3
It
hours.
was 2.5.
Yeah.
It's good too, anyway.
Yeah.
And we ate some pizza and we, talked local stuff. But, I have to admit, I left that meeting and I went home and I felt kind of frustrated. I felt like we were just kind of, it's like there's so many details. And,
Sort of hyper focusing on.
yeah, it's like, it's just so many details. So then I got thinking that maybe what we need, really our task, is maybe just bigger picture. In that, where's this building gonna be? Approximately how big is it gonna be? And what sort of function will it have? In other words, we know we need to do the town's business. We need to register vehicles, collect taxes, send those sort of, we'd like to be able to vote in that building. We need to be able to have these meetings. It might have a library. It might not have a library. That might change the size. So,
They're meeting tomorrow night.
so
Good.
beyond that, I don't think we need a tremendous amount of detail, because we saw some of the work that Nick can do with some of these animations, and so if you could kind of, I imagine this, where we have a building, this hypothetical building on this location that everybody can relate to,
Right.
and here's the functionality of that building, here's about how big it's gonna be. If we could get to an approximate cost, that is probably a realistic way to advance this project. Obviously, we gotta provide enough detail so that our approximate cost is realistic, but, I think, rather than like, okay, the stairway should be on this corner, no, I think the
Yeah.
stairway should be on that corner, well, the stairway we don't even need a stairway. Backing up, we'll do it again, it's like on and on,
Right.
so,
Is that sort of a normal process where, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, it's like, you can really make changes until the cows come home, but at some point in
Yes.
time, you gotta, identify what the biggest priorities are. And make sure that those are taken care of. And then anything else that's really kind of secondary, at some point in time, you gotta let it go.
and we were even discussing like the layout in the lobby and the width of the hallway, and whether the town manager's office should be attached to it, and all these different, and then I got thinking about that, and why wouldn't it make sense to maybe when let's say the town approves this idea, we're gonna advance it, maybe we have a committee that maybe you and both the ladies and some other people are involved in that. You're gonna know better about the layout than I am going to know about it.
Yeah.
And how important is a staircase to, all of that kind of stuff. I think input from the people who are actually already doing this job ultimately would be useful.
Yeah, yeah.
Much more useful than my opinion.
And then Nick went home that night and pretty much sat down and did what we had asked about, showing us exactly visually what 100 seats down.
Oh, yeah, that was a bit of a shocker.
Right. Right, and I really appreciate you jumping right on that, because, you know, it kept the ball moving.
Right.
You know, so that was a shocker.
Yeah, I think we spent quite a lot of time thinking that we could accommodate 100 seats with a little tweaking and a little of that. The bottom line is, at least my interpretation after looking at Nick's rendering, is we are going to spend a lot of extra money for this once or twice a year meeting. Because we do not need anywhere near the amount of space that you'd need to do that correctly.
No.
And, I mean, how many, we used the church last year.
Right.
How many rooms of that size does this town need to fill all the functional needs of, you know, people renting space to have this, that, or the other thing, to have our annual town meeting, to,
Well,
you know.
when I saw and your rendering, I felt like that was squeezing it in. I mean, it was.
Do you have that? Do you
Yes.
have that?
I think we're
I came
here.
prepared this time.
I have it.
And you have it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, oh wow, yeah. So,
So I think basically you've got, the basic gist of that is that you've got essentially 3 feet on either side of those
Yeah.
10 wide rows.
Yeah,
And that's giving a person essentially a 2 by 4 square. And I like if you're talking, like, if you're really concerned about like COVID standards going forward in the future, I mean,
you could cut
you
that
might
in
as well
half.
forget about it. You're talking a 6 by 6 space.
Right.
So now instead of a human taking up maybe 8 square feet as far as, you know, that space that's dedicated, you're talking about 36.
Joe, wow.
And the thing that struck me about that is, that's for 100.
That's right,
There's nothing to say we couldn't have 130,
that's right, yeah.
and it wouldn't even work.
Nope,
So we could go to all of these lengths to accommodate this one-off meeting. Now, I know that probably statistically, the last few years, our meetings haven't exceeded 100. They're kind of in that 85.
67, 66.
Yep.
I think we were at 63 this past year, and that was down 2 or 3 from the previous year. I don't know before that, but.
So on many occasions, you'd get away with it. But, you know, there's no guarantee. I mean, probably close to 700 people are gonna vote here next month, and if we ever had half that show up, it's not gonna work.
I don't
Right.
think there's any place in,
Well, the church would accommodate that. The school would.
the
school
school,
would.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could, but you might not be in the same room.
I would be
You
interested.
might all be.
We've always thrown the school out as an idea, but we've never asked them.
Yeah.
Might be good if you reached out to them and said, is that even a possibility? How would it work? You know, what kind of notice would you need? What would the charges be? I mean, we own that SAD as much as anyone else, and maybe no one's allowed to use it. I don't know what the rules are, but
Does Guilford use it?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Where else would they have their?
If they do, then I suspect we can.
And in Dover, we always had the town meeting in the school, so,
Oh, okay.
in the elementary school,
Yeah.
in the dormitory, in the auditorium.
Yeah.
So,
I think Guilford must use the school because, I mean, they
Where
were
else would
there
they-
one side of their fire department, how would they didn't have a room
right,
of any size.
Litchfield used the school, I'm sure, but it
Right,
would be
so-
interesting to know what their opinion is of that, if indeed
right.
we
And,
could use it.
and maybe that would just say, we're gonna use the school from now on. you
Yeah.
know, Because it was, and or the venue we used last year, and not try to do what we're trying to do here, for one meeting a year.
Well, even if the schools charged us,
Right.
I'm picking a crazy number, if they said it was $500, which I don't, but even if they did, you'd be years and years and years paying back for this
Space,
space.
yeah.
Yeah, even if you threw out a number, say, $150 a square foot to construct. I mean, when we're talking about 20 feet, 20 by 28, that's, well, I mean, you get the idea. There'd be
Yeah,
Right,
no,
right.
it-
time before that would pay off.
That's right, that's right.
I'm sure the school would get reimbursed for janitor service and that sort of thing, but I can't imagine it would be prohibitive compared to building your own building.
No,
And-
and I was telling.
Yeah, I
Joey,
was
the
gonna-
church, They rent that room for $150 and give you 75 back if you don't destroy the place.
So you cannot beat that.
We didn't even pay them last year because I kept asking, the pastor said, no, we really don't want any money. It's a public service. We're happy to do it.
They even put the chairs out for us, didn't they?
They did.
And
They took them down.
Right, and warmed up the room, and I mean, it was great.
So we have options, is the
Right,
point.
yeah.
And
Right.
To build a one-off. So with that in mind.
Yeah, right.
I do think, I felt the whole time that it would be nice to have an A and a B in the sense that with a library, without a library.
Yeah.
If a library is, cause they told me that they thought they needed 600 square feet. I don't know what that does, and we would put them on, in the daylight entrance, so the public restroom would be only on that lower floor, where we would hold these meetings. So I don't know how much we can tweak that building if you pull a library out of it. But the second you increase the footprint, the upstairs gets bigger for everything else that we're doing. Maybe you could have an office for code enforcement, or I don't know if there's a need for that sort of thing, but I know some towns do. But
Well, I mean, he has his files, but he doesn't spend a lot of time.
I took a drive, and Jody went out and looked at
The
Parkman's building.
Parkman's building, which is, very basic.
About the same, but about the same size as what you're talking.
Yeah, I paced it off, it looked
Oh,
like
did you?
60 feet in length.
That's why I said 60 by 28, because
I think you're pretty close.
Brenda said, I think that's what it is. They don't have any plans. They didn't have any plans drawn. Brenda's husband, who's very handy that way, they laid it all out.
It's
And
a
just-
very humble
It
building,
is.
but I'm sure it works just fine.
Have you seen it, or you saw the pictures? Brady sent you the pictures.
Yeah.
But ironically, it's exactly the strategy we're talking about, and, the
Right,
daylight entrance, and it's kind of,
yeah, it's exactly, it's very, very simple. And, is Brenda the town manager?
No, she's the administrative, I guess you call her administrative assistant, the chair of the select board
Oh.
has office hours and does the kind of things that
do they have a library in that building?
they do, sort of,
Yeah, yeah, I thought that said that on the
Oh,
sign.
that's, it did.
Yeah,
it
you,
did.
well, you come in, there's a small room here that is storage, there's a small, tiny office for the chair of the select board. The administrative assistant and her second person, so like clerk and deputy clerk, are here in an office space, and then the rest is open. Although there's a bathroom down in the corner, I've never actually been in it, but she said the one thing she'd have done was made the bathroom on the other end, because nobody ever uses it other than the postal carrier every once in a while. And then downstairs is one big room with a little bit of storage and a bathroom.
Yeah, and they have a series of these tables set up, is what,
Oh, is that
just
right?
like this. They're just,
Did you go in?
I just peered in the
okay.
window.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably out of camera somewhere.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, I'm thinking, what's all this
When
flurry
he's
of
pacing it off,
activity?
what's he doing?
Yeah,
The Boy Scouts used to meet down there, so I've been.
Oh, okay.
been in that-
Oh, that's
bottom
interesting.
part and been in the upstairs as well, but.
I guess it would seem to me that it's reasonable that if that footprint works for Parkman, a footprint close to that should work for Sangerville.
right, yep,
And so that's not a bad starting point.
No.
right.
Another thing I did, Nick, because we discussed a little bit about the contours of the land next to 23 as you're going out towards the gazebo and down towards the stream. And I just took a site level, and my wife helped me with a 5-foot stick. And it looks like there's easily 5 feet in difference. If you just walk out towards the gazebo, there's kind of a little sway back there. And she walked out there, and I stood in the middle of the parking lot, and there was about 5 foot drop there. So my thought is, if you could raise the front by 2.5 feet and lower the back by 2.5 feet, you've got 10 feet. And that's a pretty subtle overall change there. And I didn't even, as you go more towards the stream, it drops off pretty
Yeah,
precipitously.
We walked all of that.
Mm-hmm,
And yeah, as you get closer to the stream, there's a real
it looks like you could raise the current level of the parking lot by 24, 36 inches, and it wouldn't, to me, that wouldn't look like you were sitting on top of an ice cream cone. And you'd have good runoff in the front and good runoff in the back, because everything's gonna run to the stream if we do it right.
Right.
And it should look pretty much like what Parkman's got. But my thought is, if we can just agree in general where it would be, and in general how big it would be, then we can advance and get a price
Right,
from somebody.
right. Now, are these the same drawings that we worked on Wednesday?
Yeah, the only difference with that is that I added the seating in, I figured it.
Okay, okay,
But again, like I said, I think we kind of determined that in order to put that out on the point, it's gonna be a lot more expensive because of the development.
We knew that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I guess that's easier to explore that idea now than to, you know.
Well, we went out there and I said, I can't believe we own this piece of property and
No,
we've done
it's,
nothing with it.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But going out on the point, and so, do we just continue on our location, you're calling that location 2 next to the road? Or do we run numbers for both spots?
Well, if you're gonna run numbers for both spots, you basically, I don't know, what, do you add at least 100 grand, I would think?
I don't know.
If you're gonna build a half-mile road and run electricity, that's,
Yeah, that's all gonna add up.
yeah.
I mean, I
If
kind
you
of,
could get half the road paid for by Parks and Land because you wanna,
Not if we're using it for a municipal building though.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it may be that whole real estate that we're using with a paved road, I mean, would we pave that road?
Now you're
Ideally-
definitely 100 grand.
Yeah, that's right.
You might
that's
be
right.
over that.
Okay,
But a
so
gravel,
we're not talking about, and then we were talking about the road being impassable at a certain time of
well,
year.
no, because that's the road that
To
we
the-
wouldn't use. We would have to build a new road from scratch.
Okay.
And obviously, we would build a road that would work year round.
Right.
And the road that is impassable now in the springtime, we would do away with it. That's part of the goal.
Right,
Um,
right,
But it's just, you run the risk that you keep and now all of a sudden, well, you might as well have a room for 150 people, and, you know, before you know it, you got a $500,000 project on your hand.
right, right.
Well, do you do the story and a half down front and one story up by the road? I mean, I don't know.
Now, what do you mean by that?
As in give up the idea of a daylight basement.
Okay, yeah,
I think you can still have it in both locations.
you do.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I-
mean,
I-
No,
even-
based on that
even if
contour, it shouldn't be hard.
Yeah, even if you had to grade a little bit up on the high side, because you're talking about that not getting enough drop there, but even if you had to grade up a little bit, yeah, I think both sides can work.
If you brought that up, say, 3 feet in a 30-foot run, that's not very steep, and everything's gonna run back towards 23, which is what you want. You don't want it running into your building. Then you only really need to bring down the back by 2 feet, that's not a big deal, I don't think. In fact, you could take the material out of the back and you put it up front and
Yeah.
you're gonna almost do it. But again, of course, the further back you get from the road, the less extreme, 3 feet over 30 feet looks a lot less than 3 feet over 10 feet.
Right. Now, Mike, as far as in your mind's eye, are you seeing the building in that, or are you seeing it on?
It's funny, my wife and I, Terry's like, well, I would have it kind of like on a diagonal, because we were talking about the southern exposure, and
yeah.
it could be nice there in the morning, all that sun's pouring into that corner. So I would be totally open to either one. I don't see that it would matter that much. Because you're parking, and I guess if you did it this way, your parking would swing in like this, but if you made it parallel to the road and you brought it back, say that 30 feet, you could have parking in front of the building and parking here.
And
And then you
come
swing around back and, like they did in Parkman, for the bigger meetings. And it looks like you're not gonna have to, you could accommodate all of that in either one of those orientations, and you're not gonna have to move a gazebo or a field or anything. So there's plenty of room. And it also even looks like there's plenty of room, like I said, the difference between, if you raise it 30 feet, 3 feet over 30 feet, you might be able to go back 40 or 50 feet if you really wanted, maybe you wanna bring it up 4, go back 50. Now it's this looks like there's plenty of room for that, I guess. And still not be anywhere near 75 feet of the stream.
More space in there than I thought.
Yes, there is.
Although,
Yeah,
it's
because
really
look-
dry right now.
Well,
Maybe we
yeah.
ought
Yeah, that's true.
to.
That's true. It is a little mossy back there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that's, Nick, just as far as scale, so that's, that how, you know, I mean, so 75 back from the,
Yeah, well, for reference, I know for a fact, like from here to here, that's 100 feet.
okay, that's
So
100.
probably from here to here, you'd be looking at a good 150 feet right from the edge of the stream.
Okay.
So you could go halfway down if you wanted to.
Yeah, and what I did was I tried to get that to a point, because you know, like when we're walking it is when you come in there, that's when you first have that
That's
drop.
true, that's right.
That's where I was trying to find the
Okay.
biggest difference
So there you go.
over, say, 30 feet as
Yeah,
far
yeah.
as where the,
Perfect, perfect.
um,
That's perfect.
because the rest of that slopes very gradually
Yeah, it does, it
until it
does.
gets right to the end, so.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean that if we present this and everybody loves it and they say, yep, green light it. And then a group of people say, you know what, we'd like to spend another 200,000 and put it out there on the point. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it's a discussion that people can have. And people might say, you know what, we wanna have our meetings under one roof. So what's it gonna cost to push this out so it could hold 125 people? That's a discussion they can have.
So, those discussions take place in what
Well,
format?
if we present something at the warrant,
Okay, you mean at the annual, at the town meeting?
yeah, on the
Okay,
warrant,
on the
yeah.
warrant.
It would seem to me that we would be basically looking for approval to pursue a particular idea. If we're gonna alleviate or eliminate those other venues, it's probably be through workshop prior to then, or hearings.
Yeah, that's what I wanna know. How do we get through those questions, asking those questions? Location A or B?
I just didn't get a sense that people were looking, the only pushback we got was, let's put all the money we can into this building.
Right.
I didn't get the sense that a lot of people were saying, we wanna do something, grandiose for the new building. They were
Right.
looking at this as a money saving, long-term, less maintenance, less heat,
Yep,
otherwise there was no point in doing it.
right, right,
Um,
right.
But I could be wrong, I just didn't,
Well, until we met with the planning board.
yeah, they like that land. I don't know if they were so married to building a building half mile in there, or as they were developing that space.
I don't know.
Well, and you know, somebody like Blaine was saying, oh yeah, just build the road in. Well, we need to get solid numbers as far as building a road in. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Well, even if you got a ballpark, or someone that said, you know, it costs, you know, X amount per foot to put
right, yep,
a road in there.
yep, right.
and I'm thinking,
Yep.
I'm just doing football fields, but, because we're not gonna do a straight shot, the whole point of that was to kinda go around the perimeter. You're gonna be somewhere between 500 and 800 yards, I would think.
To get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, if you go straight line, it's almost 3 or 4 football fields. Well, you can look at your map.
Right, right, that's what I'm doing,
So this is 150 feet,
right.
okay? How many of those can you put in here, in a straight line?
Probably 3,
Alright, so that's,
great.
yeah, so now if we start doing it this way, maybe it's 4 or 5.
I might be able to, like, if you know where you wanna do that, I
Oh,
can
you
actually
could
measure
sketch
that out
it in. Oh.
using like a Google Earth type of thing. They'll let you measure in a path, so you can kind of get an idea of how far that would.
Oh, that would be
Right.
good. That would be another piece of information, you know, just like
So
100
let's say it is
seats.
5 of those, so
Mm-hmm.
that's 750 feet, that's almost a half a mile.
Right. Yeah,
That's a lot of gravel road.
I'll call CMP and see what that is for poles, cause those are
There you go, that too. There-
hugely expensive.
Yep, because we have to bring power in, and we're not gonna do it underground. And there's no ledge out there, is there?
Don't know, none that I could see.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, there's a couple spots we came through that they dug down in.
That's right, that's right. They had excavated,
Yeah,
Right, I don't know if they were trying to find fill for a different project.
I
or-
think so.
probably.
Right, so, but yeah, you're not doing the power underground. That costs even more money. So, yeah, how many poles would that be? Those poles are how far apart? 100? No. 100?
Yeah, something like that. I could be wrong.
You
I
think
know.
100 feet or 100 yards?
100 feet.
100 feet?
The first pole's free, the rest are not. So, I mean, if we built the building
We have
here-
electricity there, I mean,
Yeah, we have electricity, that's right.
But, I mean, we're gonna have to set, about 4 or 5 poles.
Yeah.
And then I wonder about, because we talked about kind of turning that into more of a recreational area. We'll kind of be punching a hole in the middle of it if we do that. It won't be nature trails where you have your town office. I mean, you can have them on each side of it.
Well, you talked about, when you're talking about putting that road in there, which direction are you thinking you're gonna come from? So, because I mean, we had the boat landing, didn't we walk up through here?
Yeah.
When we walked this, we
We-
came on here and then walked up through, in through here, right?
Yeah, we wanna get rid of this road, because we got a ball
Yes.
field here and ball fields here, and kids are running back and forth, and
Okay.
people are driving
They're boats.
boats
back
and
forth.
such.
Right, so you're talking about running it at least through.
Well, yeah, get on the back of this soccer field, there's plenty of room, so we won't have to eliminate that soccer field. You'd come into the parking lot, and you might even enter down here, we haven't really done, but if we put the garage here, you could go down to our lower parking lot and then continue the road right around back, the way we've talked about. And ultimately, the road would end over here, so people could get to the other side of the ball field and launch their boats.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about coming in
Right,
from Route 23 and whether we can even do that.
did you go behind the town office parking? Did you drive in there? It's pretty steep.
It is steep.
I don't think we would have anything like that.
Well, that would be good because.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we would have to.
Yeah,
They carved that into a pretty steep hill.
they sure did.
Yeah, and I think our contour could be much more gradual,
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if you pulled it away from the current parking lot. And then the road would just kind of continue after that parking lot around. The other thing I like about that approach is it's incremental. You don't have to build
The road.
your half-mile
Anyway.
road before you even build your building. And we'd have to get the road and the electricity in before we could build the building.
And here's the other thing with the Parks and Water guy, or grant money, is if that road, I mean, does that road have to be extracted or subtracted from the land? Because that road is being used to get to that municipal office.
Well, do you make a short driveway off the road so that the
Oh,
road is
oh,
just
oh.
your boat, it's your
Oh,
boat
true.
landing road? I mean,
True.
he was all about, it's how you present it and.
It's true, that's
how
a
you-
good point, that's a good point, you're
How you
right.
make that
You
work
need a
and.
little spur to get
Yeah.
to, yeah. Yeah,
I don't know, I mean,
I
it's
mean,
possible.
Nick, we were on that point, and it's sort of a knoll. I mean, as far as parking and all that sort of stuff, it just doesn't seem like there's enough room for all of that.
Well, the thought was if we kind of put the building right at the top of the knoll, if I remember correctly, like if you're standing looking at the lake, it drops down and then there's that old road in front. But out back, it was somewhat gradual. And I think that was what I was trying to figure out when I was looking at that, okay, is putting a parking lot on, like what I have as the back side, or I guess it would still be the front.
Right.
I didn't print off the
Okay,
elevations, but.
okay, that's
It
right.
would be, on that side, so. looking at the-
It just seems like we'd be
On this side.
Okay,
Because this side, I mean, this right here, that's where that contour comes
Drops.
down and then comes away. I didn't print off the elevations, but that did show that gradual, well, somewhat gradual. And obviously, it's not like 100% accurate, but that was the idea, was to put it right in that spot where that. But I think back here it kind of gradually pushes, goes downhill and away from, because this would be right at the top of that knoll. So I didn't think it would be too bad that way. Obviously, with a parking lot, you really don't want it going downhill into the building anyway.
no.
So, I mean, I would have to look at it again, but
Right.
that was my thought from what I remembered. That started, we put that at the top of the hill, so the grade started pushing away, but it wasn't so gradual, it wasn't so steep that, you'd have to think about, leveling it out or anything. I mean, I could be wrong, it was only based on what I remember, so.
Yeah, I mean, this just seems so much simpler.
And you need the parking on the bottom side, not the top side, really, I mean, in terms of,
Volume parking.
yeah.
Well, that was kind of something that we had discussed in, kind of talking about like how we had the ramps and the door out on the front side. A lot of that was geared toward that second, we call it the first location, the one out on the point. But we kind of thought, part of the conversation I took is that we were gonna kind of gear it toward getting in from the Route 23 side. And so that would be kind of where the parking would be on the high side. Because we figured most of the time you got people coming in are gonna use the higher level. And the lower level would be not as used, so it's not as much of a priority to have put parking down there.
It just depends, I mean, I don't know.
And
what
you
do
could get all your ADA people down around the building.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
put that ramp in there as a kind of, hey, you're supposed to, I think there's supposed to be a 1 to 12 ratio. So for every, for every foot, we'll rise 1 inch. So,
Oh, is that what a ramp is?
yeah, the ADA
Oh,
ramps.
I didn't know that.
That's why that was so long, is because we start talking about, 24, and then that ramp is 24 feet long. That's way away from the building, so that's why you see them kind of wind around.
Yeah, switchbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have hearings to let people know and let people voice their opinion? What do we do?
I think if you're not, well, first of all, you can't have them right now. I
Right.
mean,
Oh, right.
between COVIDs and masks and space, it would be clunky.
Okay,
Well, unless I call the church and see what they say,
and nobody will come.
and they still don't wanna, I mean, that's a lot of cleaning you're asking them to do.
No,
Oh,
I
that's
wouldn't even,
right.
I wouldn't even ask the citizens
No.
to come,
Yeah.
because they were reluctant to come pre-pandemic, because
That's
things
right.
were starting to percolate then. If,
We had our annual meeting in February, right?
we were like the last
of
one in the
Jan-
county that got our meeting in.
Mid-March.
And then
Mid-March?
next week they killed them all.
Moved it back.
Oh, it was
And
mid,
so,
and the
we
next
had
week.
it, we had on Thursday and Friday they shut everything down.
Yep,
And Thursday people were like, we don't know if we should be having this because of the pandemic and.
right,
blah,
We should
blah,
maybe
blah,
wait.
blah. We should wait, and it's like,
yeah.
If you wait, you're not having
We'd
it.
still be waiting.
we need a budget, we need this, and this, and,
We just pushed ahead and had it, which,
there are only 3 people less than last year, so I'm.
Yeah, no, turnout was good, but you're not gonna have a meaningful, I think a
Okay.
meaningful hearing is not likely
So-
gonna be
okay.
very productive.
Okay,
I think the
so-
board needs to make a decision, do we wanna present it in this budget cycle or not? And then we decide what we're gonna present.
Right,
Now, we can present 2 alternatives, if you really think that you wanna do that. I'm not inclined to personally, I mean, I felt the whole pitch for this was to try to save the town money.
That's right.
I think we should build something nice,
right,
and something that is very low to maintain and low to heat, safe, all of that. But,
yep,
that doesn't mean somebody else wouldn't say, you know what, this is a great time to
spend a ton of money out on.
spend some extra money, I'm not gonna, if somebody wants to spend $150,000 to get out there on a point, that's their business. I wouldn't personally support it, but, cause we still own the point, and I am totally in favor of developing that land for more of a recreational purpose than a municipal building.
Yeah,
And if we put this building where we're talking about, we're always gonna own that spot. I mean, nothing's ever gonna happen to it. Between the field and this building, it's gonna be kind of become this hub.
Right, right.
We could even have outdoor meetings in the summertime
We
with
could,
the gazebo.
that's true, we could.
There's a lot of things you could do there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's,
Yeah, no, I agree, I mean, I agree. And I mean, that allows that point to be used for everybody's use, and anyone who wants to go, you know, if we do develop it in that fashion, like we talked at that, Parks and Water.
Doug, yeah.
Doug, yeah. So, and this is a building, and as I said, it just needs to be really practical and functional.
Yep.
And available and accessible.
but if you want to get numbers, if you wanna talk to
I think it's worth sort of,
C&W, you wanna talk to somebody and say, you know, if we need 800-yard road, something that's, we know is gonna be all 4 seasons, we can drive on it and, you know, give us a price, have them walk it, and at least we'd be able to say, you know, here's why we chose not to put it out here,
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
alright? And then throw the electricity in there too.
Yeah.
And, well, we'd have to drill a well out there, right?
Yeah,
Or we need water
I-
somehow.
Do we know where the well is on,
There is a hand dug well
So,
on
that's
the
not-
Wells property. There is an actual well in front of that food shack.
oh, okay,
A
What
drilled
the-
well.
A drilled well. What the specs are, I don't know. I suspect if I call Haskell's, he might
sure.
be able to tell me.
And we'd be taking that road out, so tying into that for our water source wouldn't be a big problem.
No. If it's big enough, I don't know what, yeah.
Yeah, we don't use much water.
No, and when you dig a well so that you have.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good.
But we were talking, and this is further out, but we were like, you know, do we have like a little kind of at least a kitchen area or a countertop where you guys could heat up a lunch or a refrigerator or that? So those are all things that we really didn't know how
We
important.
need a small fridge, we need a microwave. I mean,
Right,
The
right.
ladies now have to trek in here to use this,
Right.
Right, so we should be able to accommodate all, yeah, that makes total sense.
and the fridge is under one of the counters
Oh, okay.
in the office.
And one of the things that Lorna said, now that we had talked about it, and I realize we're getting into the weeds again, here we go. But Lorna was saying that and we did talk about secure space upstairs, but she's saying, that's ridiculous to put the vault downstairs, because I guess she's in and out of the vault all day long.
Well, and I was talking to her, and what I was saying to her is you have the vault downstairs, but things that you're gonna use on a daily, regular basis, you have upstairs as close to you as you can get them.
Right, you don't put your license plates downstairs in the other corner.
You make the room, you know, with fireproof, not a vault per se, but you know,
Right.
It could be file cabinets that are fire rated.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we have the vault now, and we have a room that's bigger downstairs.
Yeah.
Right.
The good news is Lorna is not a pack rat, and in fact,
She throws
if you
it.
give her some time, she will.
Things disappear,
She
huh?
will weed this out, you know, so.
That's great.
So I mean,
That's
like,
good.
this closet was full of stuff, and I
Oh,
noticed
yeah.
it the other day, and I said, hey, Lorna.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nobody used it.
And now.
It's
you
not
come
full of
back
stuff
and
anymore.
it's like,
It's all that.
Yeah.
Right, so it'd be interesting, just again, with an eye towards all of this, is how much space do you need upstairs, a secure space, and it may be just filing cabinets.
Yeah,
Upstairs.
I bet you Parkman has some sort of
Right.
fire retard, or, you know, fire rated
That
fire.
first room has some, I
Yeah.
don't know, I think it's the drywall or the wallboard that is
There's a fireproof, or fire resistant
yeah,
wallboard.
I don't know that it's anything major.
Okay, all right.
No, but there's not a lot of point in diving into all those details.
No.
Until you got at least a flashing yellow light, I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have anything yet,
Right,
so.
right. It's just getting from here to there, that's.
So I think-
just don't know the,
We'll, my suggestion is, we table this for now, cause I really don't want you and I to do this without Dale.
Right,
I think,
right.
it's not,
I agree.
this is a big, so we revisit this, and we don't have another meeting scheduled till November, is that correct?
November 4th.
Okay,
So it's 3 weeks away.
Yeah, we can,
Well,
I can
we may-
reschedule and post that at any time.
I say,
you
we
want
may
me to.
do, we get with Dale and just have a workshop, well, no, we'd wanna be able to make a motion, so we might have a special just on this topic. And, cause I'd like to advance it before November,
Okay,
or
so-
not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need to post that,
Actually, you're gonna get the information on a road and electricity, when you have that, you let us know and we'll have a meeting.
Right,
Okay?
and also, I mean, if the well is all the way over here, an underground line all the way over there, that's another number.
Yeah, I doubt that, well, it'd be interesting, I wonder if it's cheaper to drill another well,
Maybe.
I doubt
It
it.
depends on what you're gonna need to extract that, cause you're talking over a longer distance too.
Yeah, you
Right.
might need a super heavy-duty pump to push that far.
Right. Well, I mean, it's gonna be 2-inch water line or something like that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too much to bury, but.
Yeah, and you're
Right.
not taking showers or anything, you just.
No,
just-
right, just sinks and toilet and a couple
Yeah.
toilets and things,
Yeah,
but still. And then out there would need to be a leach field
yes,
on top of the parking lots and, you know, you do sort of start
yeah, so you
consuming
know
a
a
lot
leach
of-
field on 23 is easy, I mean, there's so much.
Right.
But if that mound is rock, I don't know how far you can get away from it, I mean, of course, you'd have good grade, and then you go downhill. But
Right,
the good news is, there's a lot more land out there than meets the eye.
right. There really is, I mean, this is what is deceiving this area, cause you drive in, you don't realize there's so much space right here.
No, I said the same thing,
So,
you look at this ball field and you think that's kind of the end of it, it's not.
no. And so where was Terry standing? When you were standing in the parking lot?
Between me and the gazebo.
Okay,
Just, there's a little, in fact, if you go down the boat landing road, and you turn around and you come back out, and when the gazebo is on your shoulder, look back towards the spot that we're talking about, and you see the land go,
oh, okay,
it's
okay.
quite
Right,
a
sort of
saddle
right
there.
in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it looks like that saddle wraps all the way around to the stream, and it may even get
Oh.
more steep. So to me, it'd be pretty easy to bring material in, almost your 12-to-1 run, you could kind of stick with that rule, even if you were 40 feet off the road. So, it just looks ideal, but anyway.
Okay. All right,
All right?
yes.
Are we good for now on this, do you think?
I think we are.
All right.
appreciate you coming there.
Yeah. We didn't anticipate that Dale wasn't gonna be here. He had last minute commitment. And so we,
But I will be surprised if we don't have a meeting before the 4th. And you don't have to be at the next one if you don't want to, but we'll let you know when it's coming.
right,
Because I think we should make a decision, one way or
right,
the other.
absolutely. And if you can, for Bridie, just give, if you can sort of tick that off and measure it for her, so she has a number.
Yeah,
so
that would
she
be
can-
helpful.
That would be.
We'll know how
really
much
helpful.
road that really is.
That's right. And also, well, okay, yeah, well, I guess the well, we're not gonna worry about. I was gonna say the distance from the well, but that's all right.
I'm gonna look, I can take my wheel and just
Walk it out, yeah.
walk it to.
Was there anything else that you had, Nick? That you're good?
Nope, I'm on the rails, drive the bus. We'll see what comes of it.
Okay, all
All
right.
right.
Well,
It's good to have you hear it all, because
Yeah,
then
yeah, just
then
sort
having to translate it back and.
To you and what's sort of fetching us up and where we're sort of figuring things out. So we appreciate your coming,
We really do.
very much so. So you are free, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
But you can stay if you'd like to watch
Yeah, if you find this
us
interesting.
make sausage.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, on to B, Fire Department Action Plan.
Okay, well.
Here, I'll give you this, right?
You can give it.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you so much.
As y'all know, I've been gone.
Yes?
I'm desperately trying to catch up in both places. I only had a chance to text the fire chief today to see if he planned to be here and if they'd made any progress, and didn't receive an answer back from him until after the meeting started, saying that he wasn't gonna make it and he was all set.
Okay.
Oh.
However, they the fire department did turn in their payroll, and it is an absolute horror show. It was $687 off.
What's the total?
The total is $5,878.
So a magnitude of 10%.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's because two people did it. I've heard that the assistant chief has gotten done, but nobody has bothered to tell me that in an official
Capacity.
She was the one who did the
Oh,
payroll.
okay.
I don't know if she did this payroll or if somebody else tried to pick it up after
And finish it
and
up.
finish it. I mean, they turned in 2 pages of Sunday duty that we'd already paid them for. That's the big
That'll do it.
oops.
So what period of time is that for?
This is for just third quarter, it's supposed to be.
Third quarter,
'Cause
so
we
it's a
paid-
quarter.
We paid them in June, they wanted to be paid every half year.
Okay.
Previously, it had been every quarter.
Kind of supports the quarterly strategy. Maybe we want to go to a weekly.
Well, Lorna and I had given them a weekly timesheet that we wanted turned in, but we don't need to do it weekly, we'll do it quarterly, but
Okay.
all they need to do is take their duty sheets and hand them into Lorna, and she will do them, because she and I spent enough time in the
Time.
last 2 days.
Yeah, it takes
Sure.
more time to undo it
Yeah.
if you just done it in the first place.
Right,
I
just
get
sort it out.
Yeah, they aren't turning in any sheets for meetings, that's the only thing I can't verify, did they actually go to? So that's something that I will be implementing, we'll have a duty sheet there. Sunday duty, they have this bad habit of signing in, let's say they sign in at 8 o'clock, and they sign out at noon, but doing training from 9 to 11. And then putting all the hours here, plus training 2 hours here, so we had to check all of that, because some of them didn't, some of it wasn't clear, and if you weren't used to looking at it, you wouldn't pick it up until. The other thing is, they had one firefighter's name on the roster twice, so instead of updating the spreadsheet and removing the name when he became an officer and just putting it under the officer, so sometimes he signed in here, sometimes he signed in here, and so Lauren and I kept getting different totals and going, what is, so to
Yeah,
make
that's-
it streamlined and easier, we're going to take care of that, but I don't know how their open house went. There is a person on there who, I'm not sure has any hours, but has signed something and hasn't come in for W4 or the I-9 yet.
So it's a new name.
It's a new
To
name.
you.
It's a new name to me. So
But has hours.
this, I don't see it on Lorna's list here. So, well, but we said we weren't paying anybody who didn't come in for their W4,
Oh, there you
their
go.
I-9.
There you go.
So,
Would it normally be if the chief has a new hire, does he come to you and say, hey, I've got a new hire, I've got 2 new hires, you should be expecting these names,
he says that sometimes to the town clerk, and then she usually have to chase them. And it usually comes down to the payroll gets turned in and somebody hasn't, and she'll be chasing them some more.
well, it seems like it should be whatever way you would like it to be.
Yep. Oh, I've outlined
Okay.
How you
this,
want it.
and in the action plan, we outlined that any new hire doesn't do any work, because they're not gonna get paid for it until they come into the office and fill out their W4 and their I-9. I mean, that's documented already. I've had the discussion with the chief, we've got it in the action plan, we've had the discussion in a meeting.
Right.
But it didn't happen.
But it hasn't happened.
Okay.
Is there any repercussions as far as liability if you don't, I mean, I know that's payroll stuff.
It's all tax stuff.
Right, it's all tax stuff and payroll stuff, but is there any, if you don't know we have an employee that's
Well, I'm assuming there's some
liability?
liability. I mean, the different insurances, they have an insurance that covers like 23 people. So it
Oh, so
doesn't
it's a
matter.
blanket.
It's a blanket, it
Okay,
doesn't matter who
okay.
the 23 people
Okay,
are.
okay,
Um,
all right. Okay,
But
so
if you
it's,
don't have any tax document, you don't have any of those documents that say you've hired this person, you really,
right.
Right, it'd be hard to have a workers' comp claim if you had no record that they even existed.
Exist.
right.
That's
But
right.
yet that could happen, and it could be a genuine claim on the
And
part of the,
That's right.
Why all
fireman.
this human resources stuff, I'm trying to impress upon them that we need to know this
That's
stuff
right.
sooner rather than later, and,
doesn't seem to be clicking.
no, and I don't know if they got anybody at they were having that open house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that maybe somebody showed up. If they have, nobody's told me, again, somebody getting done.
You
Nobody
didn't, you
told.
don't have any idea about that.
I know through, somebody saw it on Facebook, that's how I know that this person is no longer,
It may have been some personnel changes, I heard the
Yeah.
same rumor,
yeah.
but, right now, for me, it's just a rumor.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know
I
anything about it.
What do you think about, we're gonna try to have a meeting before the 4th for this. If we can get our ducks in a row on this, we can do this at the same time, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of loose ends here. Doesn't seem to really be resident, we've had a number of
It's
meetings.
too long between now and the 4th.
Yes,
For this,
well,
and-
and we've got some ambiguity in terms of who's still on the force and who isn't on the force.
yeah.
We've had a number of meetings and it doesn't seem to really, like I said, it doesn't seem to be clicking.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll move on
Yeah,
with the idea that hopefully we'll address this before the 4th.
right.
New business, Executive Order 14, you sent us all a copy of that?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about that in COVID in general, but this new executive order makes it very clear what a public setting is and spells out that face coverings are to be worn in publicly accessible portions of government facilities. To clarify the scope of settings subject to guidance and ensure public health protections within government buildings, the definition of public setting in 5A1 of Executive Order 49, which is the previous one that tells you about face coverings, is clarified to add the following subsections. Portions of municipal, county, and state government buildings and grounds that are typically accessible to the public, including parking lots, walkways, lobbies, waiting areas, elevators, service desks, and related hallways. For the purpose of this section, government buildings and grounds include those privately owned and those leased for governmental use. So those are all places you're supposed to be wearing masks.
It was kind of interesting, I was driving through Vassarboro
Yeah.
2 days ago, and I went by their park, and you know those triangular barriers that are orange? They had 3 of those out there with heavy chains through them going across the gate. Nobody's getting into that park.
Whoa.
So and then I went, in Bangor, they put all the nets back up. So every community is kind of doing their own
Wow.
thing.
Yeah,
Wow,
and I've
amazing.
got a bunch of different responses here through the email system with town managers, and they'll say, somebody will ask the question, so what are you doing in response to this? And somebody will say, we've been doing this and this is what we're gonna continue to do. We may implement this, and it's all over
Yeah,
the,
and I have heard of some businesses, there's actually a tattletale line, where if you think a restaurant's not doing what they're supposed to do, there's a line, you can call the state, and they'll send somebody in there, and they can be pretty threatening. But I haven't heard any stories like that with a municipality, where Vassalboro's doing it the right way and Bangor's
Right,
doing it the
right.
wrong way, or I haven't heard anything like
I
that.
haven't either. I mean, businesses, there are licensures that they have to have, and so the state has a little bit of ability to control
Yeah,
those kind of entities, but I don't know what they do for a municipality that they.
doesn't mean it hasn't happened, I just haven't heard about
I
it.
haven't either. My big concern is we're coming up to election. And where they want all of this in place, but for elections, you cannot turn a voter away for refusing to wear a mask. So, on the day we get the most business and the biggest number of people through here, you can't enforce this. We can't enforce it anyway, but you can't.
Are you going to try to enforce it?
Well, that's what I was kind of wanting to discuss with you. I mean, Dover put on their website, just a absentee ballot information. You may vote, because it's different this year, you may vote absentee ballot in town office or complete an application and take one with you. Absentee ballots may be received by the election day, November 3rd at 8 p.m. We have to have them before then. They're available through Thursday, October 29th at 4:30 p.m. This is Dover's answer to it. Absentee voting in person at the town office is available until Friday, October 30th at 5 p.m. So they've laid out very definite. I was almost wondering if I should put on Facebook and the website, if you are unable to wear a mask, please consider
An absentee ballot.
absentee ballot. I don't know where the legality is there.
Well, the Attorney General's already told you, you can't.
I can't make them, but I can ask them nicely. I mean, that's the whole thing, you know.
Yeah,
I consider
You
it a
mean you
mask
can't-
required sign. I can't enforce it, but I can put it up.
yeah, except if someone sees that sign and then says, we didn't come vote because you had a sign
you were
up.
Prohibited
And
from voting because we didn't have
And
a
the Attorney
mask.
General's, no, you could put masks, please wear a mask, or
Yeah.
suggested that you wear a mask.
Yep, that
But-
was, I don't know if the sign's down now, or it's been up there for quite a while.
But whereas the Attorney General's already said, I mean, it's interesting, he specifically addresses voting.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's all laid out,
Right, and said you
You're right.
can't.
Yeah.
I read that.
So,
So,
I mean, I think most people will wear one because they just don't wanna make other people uncomfortable. I know I will when I come vote.
yeah.
I mean, it's not that much of an inconvenience, but,
The ladies don't in the office, but when, on voting day, but then elections also supplies us face shields and masks and.
yeah, it's a lot of confusion between, what's effective and,
Yeah,
so.
I don't know, I was just like,
I'm just reluctant to post something that the Attorney General's already said, don't do that.
right.
But I don't see anything wrong with suggesting it. or
Right.
having a
well, I mean,
picture of it.
I can suggest absentee voting, although Lorna might.
I don't know that I would
because
do that.
Absentee voting, she has to register it in 3 places.
Yeah, no.
And then find time when the machine is not busy during the day to put them through the machine.
You're gonna have between 600 and 700 people, probably.
We've already had over 100 absentee,
Well, so that may cut it down a little bit.
it may not, I don't know.
I don't.
Do you think I should close the town office? Because voting causes a bottleneck trying to get in this area right here.
Is that a Tuesday?
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah,
We'll all be here.
yeah.
We generally don't.
But can people register on that day to vote?
Yes, they can.
So the town office, or do they?
Well, we'd all be here. They'd be able to register to
Oh.
vote, but for all our other businesses, for vehicle registrations and anything else, we could close I know Parkman does. Last time in June, we shunted the few people who were bogging things down through the library, so that they don't actually come back and go down the length of the line to get out.
My thought would be, I would leave it up to you. If it's working, fine. If it starts to not work and you say, you know what,
Shut it
Laura,
down.
let's shut down, because voting takes priority.
And we're gonna be here. I mean,
Yeah, you're gonna be here, so
Right.
if it turns out that a few people wanna register their vehicle,
Right.
and you can do it, fine. But
Yeah.
if it turns out that it's a
It's getting-
bottleneck,
Yeah.
and you're getting concerned, voting takes priority.
That's right. And that needs to go smoothly.
Yeah, we can't disenfranchise anybody,
no, we're not trying to.
no.
We're
But
trying not
it-
to give anybody COVID.
But you have
Right.
the latitude, I would think, if
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
working, you
Yeah,
shut it
just,
down.
right, absolutely.
It did work okay in June, but I just figured
But
it
this
was
is gonna be-
busier.
Yeah,
Most
this
people
is
are
a-
not gonna come here to register their vehicle on voting day, because they
No.
know it's busy day.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There will be a few though.
Really,
you will.
isn't that funny? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Gotta do it today.
Okay,
Or I'm
so
going
that's
to vote, so I
really-
might as well register.
Well, that's true too.
So why
It's
not?
so convenient, yep.
Oh, and the other
I could
thing
see me
is,
doing that one, actually.
Hollowell put this out about trick or treating. I don't know.
Who did?
Hollowell. I thought it was interesting. It might be something to co-op. It's just about safe practices. I figured everybody just cancel, but
You mean privately canceled or like communities canceled?
well, like this is just from like DHHS perspective of what is safe trick-or-treating and what is not, and
Oh my
it
goodness.
was interesting.
Ask people to drop candy into your bag or container, preferably
With using
with
tongs.
tongs or gloves rather than reaching
Yes.
into a bowl.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we took the candy bowl away because,
Right,
you know,
sure.
you no longer get to play in that, 'cause
Well, it was interesting, I saw it's on the main street of Bar Harbor, there's a mailbox, just an old fashioned
Oh, you
mailbox,
showed me.
filled with masks, free masks, and
And
there's
it's
a trash
closed.
barrel there, but you gotta grab it, to open and
Yeah.
close it. Hundreds of people grabbing the same mailbox, all
To
reaching in
open.
the pile of masks. And they put that on and they think, there. Okay,
we went to the
so,
North Main Woods, and there was somebody up there who, on his return here, was diagnosed with COVID.
Oh, is that right?
My mother called all in a panic, were you near these people? I'm like, no, we were in the North, well, a lot of socializing does go on, but no, we were in the North Main Woods, we didn't actually
Wow.
see her.
Ay.
But it can happen anywhere.
yeah,
Right, no,
yeah,
it's
then it's
true.
gonna continue.
Yep.
So, on to item 7, foreclosure update.
Okay, my reports are really short this week again, I'm just trying to get my feet back under me. We have no foreclosures that I know of. We have one check that is still in the mail system somewhere, but it was post dated by the due date, so we should have. no
Looks like
foreclosures.
clean slate.
When I left, we had 20 for vacation.
Yeah, well, I
We
ran
had
into
27.
Lorna, the number was smaller then, and she thought there was one that was for sure gonna
She
be,
said, yeah,
but it all came in.
but they came in with the wrong amount, and they sent the amount, they sent it with somebody else. He coughed up the extra that was needed, I don't know,
Oh, that's
so.
all good.
Yeah,
That's,
so we're all like.
that's awesome. Very
yeah,
good.
It was the same last year, I believe, there was most of them were left, 2 weeks out, and then,
And then they all come in.
yeah.
Do you remember the one on Golf Road that we did, I
Yep.
think it was 2 years ago?
Yep.
Did you ever look at that property?
No.
They did a great job with it.
Did they?
Yeah, they cleaned it all up, they've got a nice camper in there on a pad, and it looks
No.
great.
Oh,
They
that's good.
They bought that because they were ATVers,
Ah,
and it looks good, anyway.
that's great.
Okay, road commissioners report?
I went out with Herrick Excavation and looked at Anderson Road, Jackman Corner, and Townhouse Road. And they're going to get me some numbers, but they're going to do some ditching on those roads and perhaps a little gravel depending on,
Okay,
those are all roads we've been talking about, projects we've been wanting to do all summer, but haven't,
Townhouse, Anderson,
and Jackman Corner.
Jackman Corner, okay.
And basically, Townhouse and Jackman Corner, the water's running in the road. So if you do a little ditching, it gets water out of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Good strategy.
They'll be able to plow this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winter.
Good.
So,
I did speak to Seth while you were gone, and he was gonna do grading, has he started any, or,
I can't get hold of Seth. He's going,
okay.
well.
He assured me he had intended to do it, so.
He had a second a second moose hunt.
Ah,
And I don't know if it was this week or if it's the last one.
Well, when I talked to him,
just got
somebody
back.
in his crew got a moose. I don't know if it was him or somebody else, so, but he didn't mention to me that he had another one, but he has every intention, he
Yeah.
said, yes, I will get those roads done, so.
Yeah.
And boy, after that rain, this would be perfect. So,
I'll get on his case, see if I can get a hold of him
Okay.
tomorrow. He'd been working out in Kingsbury, and that's why I'd had trouble reaching him a lot during the
Yep.
summer, because he'd got
I,
no reception.
I
out
text
there.
him and he gets back to me.
He does,
Okay.
usually really well, if he's, not moose hunting or.
right.
Kingsbury apparently is out of service area, so
Okay. Anything else there?
I think I haven't had much of a chance to
Okay.
check on anything else.
Correspondence?
And I did see your email about the gravel on
Yeah,
Peters.
did you see how it's moving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
traveling down the ditch.
Especially with.
But
rain.
Marty had gotten back to me, and
I'll do it
it's on her list, so.
Tomorrow or Friday and,
Yeah,
I mean, it's gotta come out, whether we get them to pay for it or not, it's gotta come out.
yeah, well, generally, the landowner, if they wanna be able to access that, would have to put not a
Culvert.
driveway, but they'd have to put a culvert in, and then we'd have to maintain that culvert after.
Sure, and that would be an option that we might consider. But they also can ramp it. If they've got a seasonal use,
Yeah.
ATV ramps will, I don't know what he's bringing across that,
I
but,
think he's wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's his wood,
yeah, well, they're not gonna do that with ATV ramps, but.
no.
But either way, you can't fill the ditch
No,
with stone.
no, no,
Yeah.
So
Okay,
anyway,
sorry.
Okay.
I'll take care of,
Correspondence,
none that,
alright. Additional agenda items? Hearing, seeing
None. No.
None, selectmen's concern?
No,
None, executive session, none.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second, we vote, we are now adjourned at 6:05.